I think we have an Aaron Rodgers free show today for the most part. I mean, he's going to be part of like the ancillary conversations surrounding these main topics, but like nothing right off the bat with Rodgers, no new updates. Yeah, it's been pretty chill on the Rodgers to Steelers front. But we do know one quarterback that is for sure not coming back, and he was reportedly still our backup plan in case Rodgers fell through. That's Russell Wilson. He ended up signing with the New York Giants yesterday. And like I said, I kind of saw it coming. I didn't know if it was going to be the New York Giants or if Russ was going to go to the Browns or if there was another team out there, maybe the Titans, to mentor a Cam Ward. But Russ coming back to the Steelers, that reunion wasn't happening. I wasn't buying the Steelers could be potentially bringing Russ back if Rodgers falls through, or, you know, after like a week into free agency, we were still talking about how Russ was like a legitimate option. Steelers still talking with Russ. I wasn't buying it. I thought it was BS just with how the Steelers handled free agency from the start. Russ was not a priority. He was arguably the Steelers' fifth option. Started with Fields. We offered him. Then we went to Darnold and Rodgers, gave them offers. Once free agency really started, I guess it was Monday, we had the whole period before where we could talk to the in-house guys. So we were negotiating with Fields before the tampering period started, but then the tampering period hit. Fields didn't get back to us on the offer that we sent, and I think we just figured he was as good as gone. And we had to pivot. We offered Darnold, talked to Rodgers, and like everyone was saying, we were still talking to Russ, but how serious were those talks really? Because I also saw another report, I've said this multiple times, that if our conversations initially with Rodgers weren't going well, we would have pivoted to Danny Dimes before even like seriously talking to Russ. I think we just used Russ as leverage, honestly, in contract negotiations with Fields and Darnold and Rodgers. Even still, Rodgers up to this point before Russ signed with the Giants, because that was always the caveat with some of these Rodgers reports that were out there. Steelers all in on Rodgers. First priority. They're visiting with him, talking with him. Everything's going well, but they're still not opposed to bringing back Russell Wilson. Come on, bro. Come on. At that point, it's just a leverage play. Russ has been here for a full season. Like, we went to war with Russ in 2024. We battled with him, right? Blood, sweat, and tears out on the field. I feel like if the Steelers were actually serious about him being our quarterback in 2025, something would have got done. You know what I mean? Like something would have happened. And then here's the other thing too. Russ saw that he obviously was like the fourth or fifth option for the Steelers after all that took place last season. And he's probably feeling a certain way. He went on McAfee after the season ended saying, I want to be back in Pittsburgh. I love it here, this and that. And he started taking visits with the Giants and the Browns. I just think it hit a point where the relationship was broken, and Steelers and Russ for 2025 wasn't going to happen one way or another. So I'm not surprised by this. Yeah, not really at all. I think maybe I'm surprised at how quickly this happened with Russ to the Giants. I thought maybe it would play out a little bit longer because obviously you're seeing with Rodgers, he's taking his time. I didn't think Russ had to sign that quickly because everyone's waiting on Rodgers. Like, that's the decision. But I guess the Giants said, you know what? We're done waiting on Rodgers. Let's make Russ the priority for ourselves. We'll go into 2025 with Russ and Jameis as our quarterbacks. And it's almost, I said this yesterday, it's almost like the Giants are taking the quarterback approach that we did last year, where you have Russ as the guy that's slated first on the depth chart in the pole position at least. And then as your backup, you got a what if play, a guy that's pretty talented that, you know, if you had to go into a season with either Jameis or Fields being your starter, it's not that bad of a move. I mean, the dudes have proven that they could start in this league over the course of a full season. To what degree, that's a different story. That's the reason why Fields was a backup last year and Jameis is in that kind of spot, not only this year, but for these past several years. He's viewed in that category. They both have had their ups and downs. But yeah, Giants are in that type of boat where it's just like, let's see what happens. We're not paying either of these guys that much, but you got Russ, who's the veteran. Maybe he could turn back the clock for you. But then you got the upside guy as your backup. Now, I think the Steelers had the higher end quarterback room or the higher end combination last year because Russ was a year younger. We were paying him a lot less. We were paying him only $1 million. And then Justin Fields is a better backup than Jameis Winston. I think more electric, more dynamic, but also more left out there in terms of development as well. Jameis, we do kind of know what he is up to this point. How much better is he really getting? Now, who knows? Maybe Brian Daboll, QB whisperer type of guy, turned Josh Allen's career around whenever he was going from year 2 to year 3. Helped up there in Buffalo. And even with the Giants, Danny Dimes had his best season as a pro with Brian Daboll. Now, these last couple of years, you're questioning some things. So this is honestly, yeah, the Giants are really, this is like last chance you for a lot of characters in this. Daboll, the GM, Jameis Winston, and Russell Wilson. Yeah, they're all fighting for like their NFL lives right now. Like Daboll, though, he'll probably catch on. If he ends up getting fired at the end of the season, he'll catch on as a coordinator again and maybe get a head coaching opportunity again 4 or 5 years down the line. But yeah, a lot of question marks, a lot that's still out there for the Giants, even with this Russell Wilson signing. Because are they even gonna go quarterback now early with Russ and Jameis? Are they thinking Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders are gonna go 1-2? Then they're just gonna take Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and maybe spin the block and take a quarterback in the second round? Like, do they feel confident in Russ starting? Now, the contract number doesn't really say that. 1 year for like $10 million guaranteed, incentives up to $21 million. That doesn't spell too much confidence, to be honest. But that's where Russ is at this point in his career. You know how Coward does where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. He does that segment on his show like once per week. I feel like this Russ contract goes to show that I knew ball this offseason. I knew what the hell I was talking about because going into this, I was questioning what Russ's market's going to be. I'm like, if the Steelers don't bring him back, who's really going to go out of their way to pay him this 30 or 40 million people are talking about? Like, who's it going to be? If Russ's market was what it was last year and he was only getting paid $1 million, it was like the Steelers and the Giants, maybe the Raiders. It was only those 3 teams that were kind of interested in Russ. And we saw how the 2024 season played out with him as the starter here for those 12 games and end the season, 6-6. And our offense became pretty limited down the stretch and in big moments, big games, must-win games. So, like, how's his market increasing and he's going to be another year older? So it goes to show, I think I kind of knew what I was talking about with Russ's market and what his contract was going to be and how he's viewed around the league right now. Because also compare him to the other quarterbacks that I mentioned earlier in the show that got their deals. Fields, better deal than Russ. Even though Fields is less proven than Russ, you could argue who had the better season between the two here in Pittsburgh between Fields and Russ. But it's just like where you're at in your career, though. You got to consider all the context at play. Fields is 26 years old, went 4-2 last year, and still has a ton of upside that's left to be untapped out there. Yeah, I think it's fair to reason why he would get a better contract than Russell Wilson. You could argue between who had the better season between the two, but who's 10 years younger and has more upside, more talent, and all that stuff, and fits more in the modern day NFL scheme. It's Justin Fields. Sam Darnold got a better contract than Russell Wilson. Daniel Jones, you could argue. Daniel Jones with the Colts. He's going to be competing with Anthony Richardson. You could argue he got a better contract than Russ. He got more guaranteed money at least. 1 year, $13.5 million. I think incentives up to 14.5. So Russ got the higher incentives, but Daniel Jones got the more guaranteed money. And then I would assume Rodgers is going to get, once he signs here, hopefully he's going to get a better deal than what Russ got with the Giants. I'm guessing 20, 25 per year for Rodgers. So, yeah, Russ was like 4th or 5th on the quarterback totem pole this offseason. I mean, and you could even see the Steelers signed a Mason before bringing back Russ, and it was for a less amount, but that's kind of where he's at. And even though I did say that I felt like this just wasn't going to happen, right? Russ coming back to the Steelers, the relationship was broken. We've heard the reports about him and Arthur Smith not really getting along, how the offense that Arthur wanted to run wasn't fitting with Russ's style and how he wanted to play. They were butting heads. And there was also other reports. It's not just Arthur Smith in terms of coaches on the coaching staff that wasn't potentially thrilled about Russ coming back. It wasn't just Arthur Smith. Now there weren't names being dropped, but people talked about how there was a legitimate split within the Steelers organization about the thought of Russ even coming back. And ultimately he doesn't. But even with Russ looking at the other teams, even with Russ looking at the Browns, looking at the Giants, even feeling a certain way, probably feeling slighted, right? That he was so far down the list on the Steelers' priorities when talking about bringing in a quarterback for next year. He still wanted to come back. According to Jerry Dulac, Russ wanted to remain with the Steelers right up until the end before he agreed to a deal with the Giants, per sources. I don't blame him. Like, the Steelers were the best. Steelers were arguably the best opportunity out there for any quarterback. And Russ has that familiarity here. He played almost a full season here. Said even before going into last season that he wanted to be a Pittsburgh Steeler till the end of his career, win a couple more Super Bowls. Really cherished the tradition here, the culture. Mike Tomlin as his head coach. So he wanted to be back. But just wasn't meant to be, man. Just wasn't meant to be. And you could kind of tell, not only from this tweet from Jerry Dulac, but even from Russ's introductory Giants tweet, that, like, yeah, this ain't what he had in mind this offseason. This wasn't the plan. This is what he tweeted out. You could tell he ain't that excited to be a New York Giant. I'm sure he's excited. He's just flat out getting an opportunity maybe to compete to start. But look at this. Been here before. Can't wait to do it again. Hashtag MetLife, hashtag Giants. No exclamation marks. No nothing. No emotion in this tweet. Just, I mean, this is probably one of the worst pictures you could get of this stadium. Are you serious? I had to cut it off. Like, it goes it's like a pretty vertical shot. It goes all the way down, but it's basically the same thing you're seeing here, just more of it. It's MetLife Stadium and that upper third, and then the rest is the stadium, and it's just these gray, I don't even know what these are. I'm not an architect. These gray lines. That's it. It's the most boring picture of all time of MetLife Stadium. And obviously he's referring to the game he played there when he was with the Seahawks and the Super Bowl, won a championship. So, like, that's what he's referring to. Been here. Can't wait to do it again. No exclamation mark, though. None of that. Far cry from when he signed with the Steelers last year. Look at this. Ready to work, smile on the face. Now, he hasn't done his Giants introductory press conference, but on top of it, he was Pittsburgh, like Pittsburgh dad, basically, whenever he signed with the Steelers. He's going to Pirate games. He had the Pirates hat on. I don't think he spent a day without having something Steelers or Pittsburgh on for the first 2 or 3 months he became a Steeler. I think he even posted, as soon as he signed here, there was like some hype video of highlights, whatever it was. I know it was a Renegade. Yeah, it was a Renegade vid with Renegade playing in the background. So a lot more enthusiasm with Russ being a Steeler last year compared to him being a Giant. And it kind of goes hand in hand with Dulac's tweet of it wasn't what Russ had in mind. He didn't want to necessarily be a Giant. He wanted to be back with the Steelers, but the Steelers didn't want him. And in my opinion, rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's nothing against Russ. The collapse at the end of the season wasn't all on Russ. Just wrong place, wrong time, really. I got nothing bad to say about Russ. I don't think any Steeler fans have a bad word to say about Russ. I think he was the utmost professional here. Professional, good in the community, did charity stuff, never threw anyone under the bus. I mean, the only negativity we've heard is just him clashing with some coaches behind the scenes. Like, they didn't see eye to eye. That was it. But, I mean, I think he represented the Steelers really well. But wrong place, wrong time for where we're at. Because what did we ultimately go with Russell Wilson as our starter? 10-7. He was 6-6 as a starter. We went 0-5 in the last 5 games against contending teams. Offense looked more and more limited as the season went on with Russ as our starter. I've been through this, right? We didn't put up more than 17 points in any of those last 5 games. So it's like, okay, this isn't going to cut it. We've been there, done that with 10-7 and lackluster offenses. We brought Russ in to see if he could be the franchise for the next 3 or 4 years, if he could still be an elite quarterback, if he could still be Seattle Russ. And we saw that at the beginning when he first got the starting nod. We put him in for Fields. It was looking like Seattle Russ. It was looking like Tomlin was a genius, but then we got Broncos Russ those last 5 games. And let's face it, with where we're at as a franchise, we're not trying to just be mediocre. We're not trying to just be above average anymore. We're not just trying to win games and keep that consistency going. And I think Russ could give you that, right? Russ could give you stability at the quarterback position, but we're over that. It's not what we're looking for as a franchise right now. We need elite quarterback play, and I don't think Russ, based off his full body work last year, I don't think he's giving you that anymore. I don't. Another year older. I just don't think his game is aging well. I mean, mobility was a big part of his game back in Seattle, and he doesn't have it like that anymore. He just doesn't. And we saw whenever things weren't going perfectly, those last 5 games, defense started to get sketchy. We were missing a couple players on offense. Pickens was out. Russ wasn't able to elevate. And that's what we need to compete in this league, to win Super Bowls. That's our ultimate goal, right? The standard is the standard. We need elite quarterback play. So we can't be signing up for Russ for next year or future years because we just know what it is. It's capped. It's capped. And if you're bringing Russ back, you're wasting time. So it's like I said, it's just tough, man. It is what it is. It's the state of the Steelers franchise right now. Maybe Russ works better for the Giants with what they're looking for. They're coming off of, what was it, 3-4 wins last year. They're looking for some sort of stability, maybe a mentor for a young quarterback coming in. Whereas, no, that's not going to cut it for us anymore. It's not. 10-7 the last 3 years ever, or 10-7. What was it? 9-8, 10-7, 10-7 the last 3 years. The 3 years without Big Ben of us searching for elite quarterback play. We gave Russ a chance. I think I get why the Steelers did it, but I mean, we got our answer on Russ. We got it. And again, it's just wrong place, wrong time. Didn't work out. It's business. We got to move on. We got to try to find a guy that's going to deliver better for us at the quarterback position that has more upside. And I've been through those options. You know, we could have went Fields. Rodgers is still out there trading for Matt Stafford. So it's really only Rodgers. It's really only Rodgers. Rodgers has always been the better all-time quarterback compared to Russ. You look at their seasons last year. Rodgers got better as the season went on. Russ got worse. Rodgers is going to be another year removed from the Achilles. You look at the throws that Rodgers can make, a lot more than what Russ can do. So, yeah, you're taking a chance on Rodgers' upside of getting back to what he was, getting back healthy, another year removed from that Achilles, being in a better situation than the New York Jets and that dumpster fire of an organization. So that's just where we're at. It's where we're at. But wish Russ the best. I don't have a bad thing to say about the dude. Outside of I don't think he was good enough at the quarterback position. I don't think he was good enough on the field for what the Steelers need right now and going forward. That's it. Wish him the best going forward, except for when he plays the Steelers. We know that, right? You always got to throw that caveat in there. But another reason we want to wish him the best, though, Omar Khan low-key cooking this offseason, and he's not even doing anything. These are signings that he's not making. These are players that the Steelers are losing, but at the same time, we are gaining as a franchise for the future and hopefully helping our ability to get back to what the Steelers standards should be, because we're loading up on some comp picks. With Russ leaving yesterday and Justin Fields signing with the Jets right off the bat when free agency started. Same with Dan Moore, signing up to be the Titans franchise left tackle. And then James Daniels signing with the Dolphins on it. I think it was like a 1-year deal. Oh, it's right in front of me, literally. 1-year deal for $8 million. So that nets us in total. Dan Moore gets us the 3rd round pick next year. Justin Fields a 4th. And this is based off, the amount that they signed for, this and that. Russ, that's actually a sliding scale. It could go from a 5th round pick up to a 3rd based off incentives. Because if he hits those incentives, remember what his contract is. It's 10.5 guaranteed, but it could get up to $21 million. If he hits those, then we get up to a 3rd round pick for Russ. So we actually are hoping that Russ plays well with the Giants. Plays well, keeps his job throughout the season, hits all of his incentives. But, yeah, we don't play the Giants next year, so the only way we would play them is in the Super Bowl. But, yeah, so outside of the Giants playing the Steelers, yeah, Russ, best of luck, because you could take that 5th round pick up to a 3rd round pick if you play pretty well. And then James Daniel, that's a 6th round pick. So we're loading up. And we're loading up with these comp picks at the right time. Because don't forget where the draft is in 2026. The Steel City, Pittsburgh. And with how this timeline's shaping up right here, it's either we're going to have Rodgers for next season, maybe the season after, or it's going to be Mason. See, that's the interesting thing. Honestly, Rodgers is. I think Rodgers is coming here, right? Let's just, in terms of this hypothetical world, let's just say Rodgers is going to be in Pittsburgh for this timeline. This sake of argument purposes here. Let's say Rodgers is going to be the Steeler. It's either going to be 1 or 2 years, right? And I would assume if we sign Rodgers, it wouldn't be the smartest of moves to try to draft a quarterback early in this year's draft. With us already having Mason, with us having Rodgers, I think you're trying to go all in. We made that big DK Metcalf trade. We're signing him Darius Slay. You're trying to win now. I think that's the message, right? But in 2026, no matter how Rodgers plays, if Rodgers plays good, you could have him back for another year. But Rodgers probably ain't going for more than that 2nd year. Maybe 3rd, stretching it. But you're the Steelers, you're obviously looking for a future quarterback. If Rodgers don't sign here, you could absolutely make the case that we should draft one and have him compete with Mason right here, right now. But again, for sake of argument, Rodgers is here. See how this timeline's adding up, though, right? 2026 draft, we have all these comp picks. Rodgers, he may be back, he may not be, depending on how he plays and whatnot, how the 2025 season goes. But we got all these comp picks. Rodgers may or may not be back. Could be a mentor for a quarterback we take in 2026. But, that's the time. That's looking like the time to take a quarterback. And it's just all in alignment. The draft will be in Pittsburgh. We got all these picks. We got ammo to trade up then to get a guy that we want in this so-called epic quarterback class that is going to be the 2026 quarterback class. I don't know how much I buy that, though. I don't mind this year's draft. I really don't. But we know Arch, he is potentially going to be in the 2026 draft. And that's the guy that's surefire, going to go number 1. And I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know if the comp picks that we have, it's not going to just be the comp picks in our first round pick that, we swap first round picks with whatever teams drafting 1. That's not going to get it done. We're going to have to throw in future first and probably future seconds and maybe a player or two. But, it wouldn't be the worst thing if we don't get a Manning in a draft that we're looking for a quarterback. Because last time that happened, I'd say it worked out pretty damn well with Big Ben. The Eli Manning, Big Ben draft. Eli Manning goes first. He was the big name. We don't get him, but we get someone else in the top at that time. It was 11, top 11, not top 10. So there's going to be other quarterbacks available. And it's just nice to have, especially with us on that timeline where we're looking for a franchise quarterback, whether it's this year or next year. If it is this year and, we don't get Rodgers to sign here and it's just Mason, because obviously we're going to go to the draft at this point. Russ ain't on the table anymore. I don't even like, yeah, it's just Mason. Maybe we could trade for a Joe Milton. I think that would be intriguing. But most likely, if Rodgers ain't here, we're going with Mason and we're drafting a quarterback. But it's still nice to have those comp picks. It's just nice to have extra picks. Let's just be real. It's not even about the whole quarterback thing. But let's say we get a Dart, we get a Milrow or someone in the late first. Maybe we trade back in the first, pick up a second. Who knows? We get one of these quarterbacks that are in the next tier after Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and we are planning for them to be the future. Not bad to have some extra comp picks to build the team around them for 2026. No, not bad at all. So, yeah, I think Omar Khan's cooking without even trying. Really, like getting an extra third-round pick, fourth-round pick, potentially another third-round pick in this Russ signing. It's fifth right now, but could be a third. And James Daniels, sixth, on top of all the other picks we're going to have in 2026, with the draft being in Pittsburgh, with us on a timeline looking for a franchise quarterback within the next year or two. All right. I see what Khan's doing. I like this, man. I do, man. Like this is stuff we weren't getting with Kevin Colbert. I think Omar Khan, he's putting together some next level GM work out here. But that's it. Yeah, we'll wrap it up with that and the Steelers comp picks that we're looking to be getting in 2026. So we're looking up. We're definitely looking up. We're gonna be looking really up if Rodgers signs here, I think. And we all know all signs are pointing to it happening. So hopefully it does. But we got no news regarding it. So this was, like I said, a pretty Rodgers light show. His name was thrown in there kind of ancillarily with a couple of these topics, but yeah, maybe we'll have more about that tomorrow. I'll be back 6 p.m. You know what it is. Stop through. Stay chilling. Here we go, Steelers. Peace.